Josh Harris, according to the Washington Post, has reached a preliminary agreement to purchase the Washington Commanders from Dan Snyder. Adam Schefter at ESPN saying there's a Canadian guy who's still in the mix for this. But all indications are that Snyder is getting ready to finally sell the team after what seems like years and years and years of speculation that it would actually happen. He's a stubborn dude. And he bought the team from Jack Kent Cooke, the estate, for $800 million in 1999, Joe. And he's going to sell it for nearly $6 billion. Imagine if he was good with the franchise.
155% difference.
Yeah.
Not bad for a 24-year investment.
They won the division, the NFC East, under Dan Snyder in 1999.
First year.
2012, 2015, and the pandemic year of 2020. That's it. No conference championships, no conference championship games, no Super Bowls, no nothing. Yeah, he just won the division a handful of times.
This is a franchise that had won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different starting quarterbacks, which was kind of unheard of.
Yeah.
You know, most of the franchises that had won Super Bowls, you know, they had Terry Bradshaw, they had Joe Montana, they had one guy. The Redskins, back then, the team, they did it with different quarterbacks, the same coach, different stars. It was kind of amazing, particularly who they were competing against.
Yeah.
Because they were contemporaries with the 49ers, with those great Giants teams, the great Bears teams, and a proud franchise. And one that at a time, there's 2 things in Washington people will tell you. There's politics and there's football. And for the last 25 years, there's been politics. There's been no football.
There's been no football. There's been controversy after controversy. There's been gaslighting. There's been everything from workplace culture issues to siphoning off money from the team and other owners.
Oh, he had to put his logo on the back of the team plane.
For a lot of money. There was the lie of the wait list to buy tickets to FedEx Field and everything else. There's the field conditions.
I was going to say, they had to reduce the size of the stadium.
Yeah. There's the field itself, too.
Think about that for a second. When he bought the team in 99, if you don't remember, it was supposed to be the next new wave of ownership, like a Jerry Jones, a la Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Because the stadium was new. It was FedEx Field. I don't know what it is now. Is it still FedEx Field?
I think it's still FedEx Field.
Still is.
It was new, and it was supposed to be, this state-of-the-art deal. And, literally in the last 5 years, they've had to reduce the stadium capacity Joe, for an NFL team to do that at the height of its salad days right now, that's bonkers. Bonkers.
And he sued his own fans.
Oh, well, there's that too.
Yeah, that was for right, Dennis. That was because of season ticket refunds or something like that.
Well, there were fans that were trying to get out of having to pay their season tickets because back when the recession of 2008 and such.
That's right.
They were trying to get out, but like, no, you have a contract.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you have a contract. Well, here's the thing. He sued him to pay the money, which he won because there was a contract, but he ended up selling the tickets to other people anyway.
Oh man, what a piece of work. And that's all of these things that we're illustrating highlights the central point. Running an NFL franchise, I'm not trying to be crass or flippant about this, but look at a man who literally ran this organization into the ground.
Yeah, to the point, like Dennis said, where he's suing his own fans.
And he's still able to sell it for $6 billion. This tops with the Denver Broncos, another storied franchise with a very proud fan base. That was sold for just over $4 billion. All right. For context purposes, when David Tepper bought the Carolina Panthers a few years ago from Jerry Richardson under same controversial circumstances, he was able to pay for it for $2.2 billion in cash. And that was at a discount because he paid cash instead of financing it. Now, this group is run by a guy from Philadelphia. He's a 76ers owner, but he's not the main guy. He's part of a group that includes Magic Johnson, by the way. So I completely understand where Washington fans who have been long suffering through the Dan Snyder years are very excited about the possibilities of a new owner. We can speak to that here locally on a couple different fronts. Peter Karmanos was the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes. They went 10 years without making the playoffs. He was cheap. He had his own financial issues, and it didn't look like it was going to get any better. The biggest fear was that the NHL would eventually take the team over.
Yeah,
but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah, but Peter Kamanis' biggest sin was he was an absentee. He lived in Detroit. Yeah, he just wasn't here,
and he was broke.
He wasn't actively working against the franchise.
But I can't stress this enough. The guy was broke.
Yeah,
okay,
he was stretched.
So he was stretched thin, and what I'm getting at is the optimism that overwhelms a fan base when the owner that's been around for a long time and hasn't gone anywhere is gone, and you have the optimism of a new guy who's clearly motivated to win. Otherwise, you wouldn't have spent the amount of money that you just spent. Same with David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers, which gets me to my be careful what you wish for. The floor on what to expect with the new ownership group, for the Washington football team is really, really low considering it's coming from Dan Snyder. But you could talk to Panthers fans who are really optimistic about David Tepper spending all this money and wanting to do all these other things, what exactly they've gotten since he's taken over.
He reinvented music in
This
Charlotte,
is true.
Joe.
Nah, that's a good point. That's something I completely did not. I dismissed that. I apologize for
Brought
that.
restaurants.
Well, I mean,
true.
running water.
He invented music and running water.
I feel like, though, Snyder's problems were people didn't want to coach for him, didn't want to work for him, and certainly didn't want to play for him. It reached that point. Because remember, the 99-00-01, remember, they were the original, like, hey, we're going to go spend all this money on free agency, and I'm going to turn this thing around, and we're going to be the top. Like I said, he wanted to be Jerry Jones. He wanted everyone to know how much money he had and all these great deals that he was making in order to make this marquee franchise an even bigger name in the NFL, and it had the opposite effect. And part of that is when you're incompetent, you're incompetent. Like, stupid is as stupid does, Joe.